You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith. And today's guest is a brown belt who trains at H2O Martial Arts, located in Oak Park, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Hunter.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Oh man, the pleasure is all mine for having you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Work 6 days straight, play with the dog, but I'm here. I'm definitely happy to do this. This was something I've been looking forward to all week. So
yeah, man. Me too, man. Me too. But yeah, let's just get right into it, man. Let's go ahead and give the people what they want, man. How did it all start for you?
for me, it was very interesting. I had just went through my biological mom had just passed away a few years before 2006, and football was my first love. And after high school, I decided not to try to go out of state to play football, try to get a walk on. I decided to stay home, and something was missing. Mm-hmm. Something was just, I couldn't figure out what it was. I always wanted to continue athletics in some way, shape, or form. You know, whether I had thought about powerlifting, I had thought about moving to Florida to be a pro wrestler. So many things that like popped in my head, and it was 2009, I want to say. And I was sitting at Brian's house, and we were watching TV, and it was either Spike or TNN, one of the two. I think it was Spike. But they did a marathon of like UFC fights. Mm-hmm. And I had remember watching the UFC as a kid. Can we cuss on the podcast or not? I'm trying to,
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I fucked around.
If we have to, if we have to, I can just edit it out. But go ahead.
Cool. I fucked around and bought the first UFC, thinking it was a WWE VHS tape at Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. So I had bought it, and I got it. My mom, we came home, and I put it in. I'm like, yo, this don't nobody on here look like nobody I know. So I watched the whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is dope. So I bought like the other three. I think I bought 1 through 5. And I'm like, as a kid, I really don't know what's going on, but I know it's like, yo, this is hella violent. It was like pro wrestling and stuff from movies, but like real life. Mm-hmm. And so that was my first introduction to jiu-jitsu. Then fast forward, 10, 15 years later, I'm seeing it again, and it's more evolved. And I was like, damn, like I literally can attest it to like being in the military when like, the commercials for the Army and Navy back when we were younger, they'd be like, is it in you or something? It's the calling. Yeah. It felt like that. And so I called around to a couple different schools in the area and inquired about free classes and stuff like that, and came in and tried out a couple. And the first place I went to was Mash Gym on 8 Mile, and over on 8 Mile and forgot the main street. Yeah. But yeah. Over in Redford. Mm-hmm. And so went there for a couple months and couldn't afford the payments. Got a job a year later, still had the itch to do it, and went and trained at a school in Hazel Park. And I didn't want to do jits at first. Mm-hmm. I thought jujitsu was whack. All I wanted to do was be Bruce Lee, Anderson Silva, Muhammad Ali, and Mike Tyson. I just wanted to drop somebody, and I did not want to do it at all. Like I was like, man, this is whack. I'm good. And my coach at the time, he was like, look, if you want people to stand and bang with you, then you need to be good at the ground. If you're good at the ground, people will know it, and they'll have no choice but to stand. You won't have to worry about taking them down, none of that, because they'll already know that that's your game plan. That's what you're good at. So the choice to stand is automatic. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm like, okay, you sold me a dream. I got you. So I went and started doing it. Started doing no gi at first. And then I eventually moved to the gi. And what I realized quickly was I was dominating people who were like better, not so much better, but like higher rank. Like it was like, blue belts and purple belts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I started to realize I was naturally good at it. And like the people I couldn't get during stand-up, when we had to do kickboxing and boxing, as soon as we get to MMA or jiu-jitsu, I was mopping the floor with them. Mm-hmm. And then I learned to put it together, two together. And I was like, all right, this jiu-jitsu stuff ain't that bad. Not that bad at all.
Right.
And that's where it started. And, you know, like most people, you do it, take time off, go back to it, take time off, go back to it, take time off, go back to it. But it was the one way I felt like if I continue with jiu-jitsu journey, it's the one way I can stay close to MMA.
One, go.
To me, jiu-jitsu is self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the closest thing you can get to it is MMA. So that was a way for me to stick with it. You know, I always envisioned or seen jiu-jitsu as the old school way of it. You know, it's meant for a fight. You know, when you listen to stories about Elio and Carlos, like they weren't doing tournaments. They was going in dojo storming niggas and fighting. There was bloodshed. It was, you know, punches, stuff like that, groin kicks, headbutts, all that stuff was legal. Like it's a street fight. So to me, that's what I always envisioned jiu-jitsu as. And like when you look at it, I always tell people like the UFC was built by the Gracie family to showcase Brazil. You know, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is the most dominant the most efficient self-defense martial art.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, it lost its path. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to me, jiu-jitsu always equates to scrapping.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Okay, so, you know, I know, but a lot of people don't know, but you do run like a security team at your current job, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with that, how did jiu-jitsu, because you know you are a brown belt, so you have been training for a long time. So how have you been able to incorporate your jiu-jitsu into your job?
So it's jiu-jitsu is basically giving me everything I could have asked for. And it stems from being able to use it at my job. So I started out, it was 2012, started bouncing at clubs and bars. And it was just, I literally took like customer service side of it. I've worked in retail sales for 10 years. So been deep in customer service, but just combining the two, jiu-jitsu and customer service. But as far as the jiu-jitsu aspect of it, it was more so just everything I would do in practice, but without punching. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like if I would always modify. So whenever I would train, I would always put myself in a situation where, you know, I would get this in the club, you know, so because everything is going to be random. You know, if a dude decides to swing on you, it's random. The only thing you can do is block, engage, and, you know, go for the takedown or, you know, go for a wrist lock, an arm bar, things like that. Mm-hmm. Or my favorite thing is to take the back and drag out. But I always applied it. So I would look at certain situations that I was in and just be able to, you know, okay, if this person does this, the hand goes up, what do? I go for, you know, comb the hair to block, and then wrap the arm under, duck up to the back. It was just, I always put it in training, you know, so like, you know, if a dude comes and tries to grab you by the collar, you know, that's stuff we do in jiu-jitsu, you know, or I would, so like places where I wore suits, I would put on a suit coat. Mm-hmm. I'd put on a suit coat and I'd have somebody else put one on or have them put on my suit coat and just go from there. And then because everything is different, the way you grip a suit coat, the placements is the same, but the material is different. You may pull hard enough and then the buttons on a jacket slip off, or, you know, you may tear the collar of the coat, so it adjusts your game differently. But I always put it in the regards to like, okay, if somebody stands here and does this or does that. And so when it happened at work, it was just, I had practiced it for so long, it was just muscle memory. But everything I ever did was jiu-jitsu. I never punched. I've only struck 2 people in the 10 years that I've been bouncing, and it was like I slapped them. But everything I've ever done has been based off of jiu-jitsu, you know, and even with our tests, purple belt, brown belt, black belt, not even blue belt, you know, that self-defense portion, like that's what it's for.
Right.
You know, to be able to apply in real life. So if somebody comes at you with a punch or they try to tackle you, you know, and then too, when you get into it, you know, in that environment where it's just a brawler, a dude who really don't know shit, it's so much more easier, and it's so much more, the pressure's taken off you a lot because they don't know what you know. You know, and those who do know what you know, they're not quick to fight. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We know the dangers of everything. So, but it was just that, man, like, you know, watching somebody's hands, you know, making sure their hands, if they try to, you know, anytime a hand comes at you, whether it's to grab a lapel, to throw a punch or whatever, you got to think of it like, okay, the hand is coming at me. It's coming at me to either try to grab a collar, throw a punch, whatever. So it's the same principle. You don't have to change up the training so much.
Right.
But every time a situation happened, I talk first, and then if it got to it, it got to it, and people would see it. And they just, once they seen that I could, not only was I was very good at talking to people, but if it came down to it, if we had to tussle, we had to tussle. And I was very, very, very exceptional at doing it. So, and then just started playing around with different stuff. And now at my job now, I'm working on developing subject control stuff, physical management of combative people. So that's the big focus, is tailoring it back to self-defense, because that's what it is. So that's what this is made for. John Danaher, if, for your listeners, everybody knows that's how he started. He started bouncing in nightclubs, and he used jujitsu, and look at where he's at now. So it's proof that jujitsu is truly meant for self-defense.
Right. And, I've talked to people about that as well. And one thing that I try to reiterate when it comes to jujitsu is like, okay, what if the person is trying to, throwing punches and stuff like that? And I try to tell them, I was like, you have to understand that it takes more energy to try to throw a punch, you're trying to throw punches and haymakers and everything else like that. If you can subdue someone, they will burn themselves out before they're even able to throw a punch. And you're conserving all your energy because you're not fighting them back.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier to be able to grab someone, hold their arms hold your arms a certain way, because you're not using physical strength, you're using structural strength. So if you ever look up videos of people, or you hear stories of like this blue belt or this person who just started training 2-3 weeks ago held a person down, that's because they were able to literally subdue them. And you watch these videos, you don't see that person necessarily striking back. You see them just holding them down. That's like I can't remember his name. Matt Serra.
Yeah, at the restaurant in New York.
At the restaurant in New York. He held him down. He had a dominant position. His arms were away from his belt line. His arms was straight up over his head, so he couldn't attack him. He was just helpless. Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing too. It's that positional. Mm-hmm. Like, if you know the position to be in, but that's the thing. Like, I always tell people, it's a general. His name is Mad Dog Madison. I think that's his name. If I messed it up, I apologize. But it's a quote that says, "Be polite and kind to every person you meet, but have a plan to kill everybody in the room."
Yeah.
Like, so when you approach a situation, like whenever I approach a situation, I always know how I'm positioning myself. Mm-hmm. I look at okay, my man's got a watch on his right hand. On his left hand. So 9 times out of 10, he's right-handed. So his power side, the punch is gonna come from the power side. I can blade him, I can mirror him. I'm standing southpaw, so now the distance it takes for his power side to come towards me is longer. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but I can see his hands and jam him up. That's the thing, is like, if you're aware, then just putting yourself in the ready position. You come up to somebody, use your hands to talk, because if the hands come up, now your hands are already there. I go into a rabbit hole of different things where it's like, it's just setting yourself up, but it's so much more easier. And the thing is too, it's the energy.
Yeah.
Like when you use aggression and anger, man, you burn your gas tank quick, versus when you stand calm. You stay calm. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest thing too, is having that knowledge and that background. It takes the anxiety and fear, a big portion. It's still there, but it takes a big portion out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now, it's just like, because once a dude swings or comes in, and the minute his plan doesn't work, or he misses, or you evade it, or you shoot a double, and now he's like, oh shit, I'm in a fight. I'm in a position that I know nothing about. I can't get up. And that makes it even worse. You know what I'm saying? That's why you'll see a lot of dudes sitting on people, women too. They'll catch them in the back take. They'll have them they'll take their back and set up chokes and stuff like that. And it's not an ounce of energy wasted. Right. You know what I'm saying? Versus somebody who's, using that anger and aggression and depleting themselves of their own energy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's having that sense of calm. Like, it's tremendous.
Yeah. And I'm not taking anything from any other martial art, but I only can speak for jiu-jitsu because that's what I train. And I saw this video, maybe like 2 days ago, of this guy who had a confrontation with this other guy at this basketball court. And obviously they didn't know that the guy trained jiu-jitsu. So, the one guy, he slaps him. They get to tussling and they end up on the ground. He somehow... Is
this an indoor basketball court?
Yeah.
Because I think I seen this video.
Yeah. Indoor basketball court. He swum under, got his leg, and he had control. The dude was squirming. He said, dude, I will break your shit right now. And it's just and the people around him, they don't think nothing of it. I'm like, dude, he could have ended this dude. He probably would have never been able to walk again if he would just turn slightly to the left. But obviously he had that control, and it could have went from bad to worse. But he was able to stop the dude attacking him.
And that's the biggest thing, is that's why, like I said earlier, those who know what we know don't fight.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who knows what. Because we know it's literally like, I get told all the time at my day job, they're like, you walk around here like a ninja. I'm like, no, not at all. But it's like, it is a secret society because you don't know. It's not like we're out in the street wearing a gi in our rank. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Like that would it would freak people out. Like you'd be like, it's like if you were in a video game, you could, you had like the vision where you could like see through shit, and then you just see somebody's gi in a rank. You're like, oh damn, I didn't know this motherfucker knew this and knew that and knew this.
Right.
So it's like, once you do it, like once you get into contact with somebody, you don't know who's who. Mm-hmm. Because you'll see people who would never even fit the mold of someone who is a black belt or a world champ or, a MMA champion or MMA fighter. We come in all shapes, sizes, colors, everything.
Yeah.
You never know. So it's like, you don't do that because it could go from bad to worse real quick. You just said, like, my man didn't know he trained, and he could have ended his whole career.
Yeah. He
could have took his leg with him, but he was like, nah, man, chill out. But that's the thing. That's why because you don't know who knows what. And that's why
my bad. The funny thing, the funny thing about that is, this was last year. Was it last year? But anyway, I think it was either Valentine's Day or Sweetest Day. I think it was Sweetest Day last year. And me and my wife, we went downtown. We were walking around for a minute, and we ended up at this strip club. And we go in, we're sitting down, and there was a guy who was obviously drunk. He comes over to us. He's like, hey, how y'all doing? Blah blah blah. So I spoke to him and whatever, and he's like, he just kept going on and on and on. And I was like, okay, dude, I'm trying to, enjoy the show. I'm with my wife. Just leave us alone. So he walks off. And at that point, my wife was getting uncomfortable. I instantly I felt her body change, her body energy change. I was like, okay, let's just finish this and then we can go. He comes back. He's like putting his hand on my shoulder. He's like, hey man, y'all from around here? And I'm like, okay, dude, don't touch me. At this point, I'm standing up and I'm kind of like bladed off, like we were talking about earlier. I'm like, I'm not, and I had no intentions of hurting this guy, but I need to prepare myself just in case. So we're going back and forth for a little bit. He walks off. At this point, I'm like, you know what? Boom, we pay for our drinks. We're about to leave. So like where we were at, we were kind of right by the door, and it was kind of crowded. So we're just waiting for the crowd to disperse a little bit, and we was going to walk out. He comes back around, and he's like, oh man, I didn't mean nothing by it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's cool. But at this point, my hands are up. I'm like, it's cool, bro. We're just going to go. Oh man, you guys don't have to leave. He's trying to hug or whatever. I was like, dude, back off. At this point, I'm like, okay, dude, I've warned you twice. Back off. And he's all like, no, dude, I don't mean nothing to buy you. I'm not trying to be offensive. Let me buy you a drink to show you I'm sorry. I'm like, no, we don't want to drink. We're leaving. The bouncer was standing there, and I guess he finally caught wind of what's going on. He turns around. He had on a Gracie Barra shirt. I looked at him. I did the jiu-jitsu hand sign, and he turned right back around. And so he saw it, he nodded, and he turned back around and started finished his conversation with the guy at the bar. And then we left. So Darcel's like, she's looking around. She's like, dang, what was that all about? And I was like, it's nothing, babe. We're good. And I was like, we were fine from the get-go. So she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, the big guy, bald guy at the bar. She was like, yeah, that was the bouncer. He does jiu-jitsu. And she was like, wait, you didn't even talk to him. How did you find out that fast? I was like, you have to pay attention to your surroundings, but yeah, I've talked about that before. Like, you don't know who knows this stuff. Cause like when you think of people who do martial arts, like UFC, that does MMA or some type of striking, you think fit guys, muscles bulging through the shirt. You think
action figures, movie stars.
You think action figures, you think movie stars. I just broke. Well, I'm down like 217 now. I'm not like super fit, but I'm in shape more. But you wouldn't think I know how to like cause bodily harm to someone because I'm a goofy guy. I pay attention to everything, but I'm super nonchalant. I'm not confrontational, but that'd be the dangerous one people.
Look at the Meow Brothers.
Yes.
The Meow Brothers are the nerdiest looking motherfuckers I've ever met, but they will destroy you. Like any way, shape, or form. Like you can never like I said, man, you can't judge a book by its cover. And being a part of being in the martial arts community, you become aware of that because assassins come in every shade, color. Like literally, you don't know. And like that's the worst thing ever, man. You don't want to be nobody highlight reel.
No.
You don't want to be on nobody Instagram. You don't want to be on nobody TikTok. You don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to end up on social. You don't want to, as the game say, you don't want to end up a hashtag.
No,
like,
you don't. But I don't want this to come off as like, yeah, we're just walking destruction. But
no, not at all.
Or anything like that. But no, you like once you get to a certain point in jiu-jitsu or any form of martial art, that instinct, you have to learn it. It's like that unteachable thing that you have to be able to learn. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be, attentive about who you're talking to. Because I think maybe that probably kicked in for me probably roughly around like blue belt, like mid blue belt. Like I would see somebody and I'm like, okay, that guy, he looks strong. I don't want to fight with this guy. I will have to get him to the ground. I have to get his back. From the strongest guy to like the weakest old lady, everyone's getting sized up. Not because I'm just trying to fight the world, but just like, hey, you never know.
You never know what could happen.
You never know what could happen.
And that's the thing. It's where there's preparation, there is no fear.
Right.
So if you prep, you know what I'm saying? You prep for that situation, and it's always, because to me, it's everything. Like even when I go to work and talk to people, like, and I tell because people ask me stuff all the time. They'll be like, hey, this. So I seen this, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but this is what I would do. So like I show them like when I approach somebody, like where I put my feet at, like, I'll line my foot. I'm gonna walk up and I tell them like I'm gonna walk up and mirror you. Mm-hmm. So if you standing left foot forward, my right foot's gonna be forward. If you go right foot forward, my left foot's forward. And I tell them why, and then I walk them through instructions, and they just sit there like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah. And it's just a quick, simple 3-step move process, like to be able to take your back. And then because once I take it back, everything is away. Yeah. That is the most critical thing. And like I said, even with what I do, when I bounce, like I want to get to your back. Mm-hmm. Because everything that you could do to harm me, your hands, knees, feet, elbows, all that shit's gone. It's pointed the other way. And then 2, I can drag you out. If I'm going face to face, it's going to be much harder. But if I can hit a duck under, if I can go, you throw that punch and I slip and I take the back, like it's easy for me to just get you out. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to do nothing else but just get you the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? So it's man, you never know, man. That's funny though. I'm not about to slide past that part where you threw my man the hang loose sign and he was just like, damn. I'm not about to slide past that, like, because if you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you make eye contact or somebody sees something, like, you be like, hey, man, where you train at? That's the first thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love when people come into my job and they be like, oh, man, because, I just did my purple belt. And I'm just like, oh, okay, who's your instructor? And then they'll tell me, like, oh, okay, what's his lineage? And as soon as I say, what's the lineage? They be like, what? What you mean lineage? I'm like, oh, okay, either you capping or you just, you know what I'm saying, you just doing it for clout. Like, it's not, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you do it, you do it. But like me, I'm very, very diehard and old school. Like, I research to a T. That's why to me, I'm like, jiu-jitsu is made for self-defense. Like, so for me to just switch into it, to bring it into, you know, me doing security, it was something that was a no-brainer. It goes hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, that's what it was for. Like, Elio and Carlos were teaching military and law enforcement because this is what jiu-jitsu is all about. You know what I'm saying? The weapons, the gun disarming. Like, if you really go back and look at your history, and there's videos you can find online of them doing this, like the weapon disarming, the you know, defense against a club, defense against a knife, things like that. Like, that's what this is for. Like, it was for that. So, like I said, it was just, it was perfect, you know. And then to me, honestly, too, what made me truly continue to fall in love with jiu-jitsu was it was the one thing that made me. I always had a dream of being a superhero. I always had a dream of being Batman, and jiu-jitsu made martial arts, period, made it possible for me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
In my own head, you know what I'm saying? I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm Batman. I'm Black Panther. I'm Black Adam. It gave me that option to do that. Yeah, you know, so
like, you do get that sense of like, I can kill everybody in here.
No, you do. It's you sit there and like, man, look, after my first MMA fight, when I was my first MMA fight, because I was heavier. So like, I played defense and offensive line in high school and throughout my whole my whole athletic career, and dropped down about 70 pounds. Had my first fight, and then fought again, and I started going out to the club more. I had more confidence now. Dude, the way you feel after winning a fight, like, against another human being and winning some tournaments, and you go out, that confidence skyrockets. Like, and it's not even an arrogant confidence, because I was never an arrogant person. I've always said the same, but it was just like, you feel, especially like I was picked on. So like, you have that trauma where it's like, you always like in fight or flight when you out. But after that, like, when jiu-jitsu brought me that confidence, you don't feel like, you be like, okay, whatever comes my way, I know I can handle it.
Yeah.
And then too, like you were saying, that intuition, to where it's like, if you come across somebody, you like, ooh, that motherfucker got cauliflower ear. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, no, nigga, you got ears like chocolate, like a Randy Couture. I'm straight. And you ain't got no neck, bro. How long you been grappling? Right. You know what I'm saying? And you ask that question, and start laughing, because you can tell when somebody else has that same aura, that energy, to where it's like, nah, man, you too fucking calm. Yeah, I don't like that. Too calm. Yeah, I don't like that at all, because a lot of times the dude who bark the loudest are the ones who do it for attention, or they want help, or, you know, they want to draw that crowd, so that way it's like, all right, cool, people looking, they gonna stop us from fighting.
Right.
But if a dude, like, you know what I'm saying, I have seen dudes yell at people in clubs and public outings and things like that, but it's the dudes who talk real quiet that scare the fuck out of me. And that shit, like, when a dude like tap you in your chest real quick and he say, you sure this is what you want to do? Nah, that's not what I want to do. I've seen it.
I don't want to do that.
I'm good, man. We ain't got to do that. But that's the thing. Even in my line of work, you know, like, I ain't got no choice. So if I see a dude, I have to have a plan. So it's funny because my last vice president of security at the last club I worked at, I came into work and he was there, and I didn't know who he was. He was just standing at the host stand, and I'm like, who the hell is this? And Tom is 6'8", 440. And I'm like, yo, and he like tattoos all over, big beard. He looks like an in-shape Haggard from Harry Potter, but bald. No, I bullshit you not, man. I bullshit you not. And so when I come into work and I see this, and I'm like, damn, dog, like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I knew Tom knows a little bit of martial arts, like, because him being in the business for so long, you know, he picked up things along the way from people he worked with. But, you know, but I looked at him and I'm like, man, ain't no way in hell. Like, I'm like, nah, bro, like, I knew that that's something I could. I'm like, nah, I can't, that ain't gonna work. And if it does happen, I gotta take his legs out. I gotta use my other training too. I gotta throw in my Muay Thai kicks, because I'm going straight for them legs. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta dig in a bag of different things. But But just that, I'm like, it's a situation where it's like, I know this dude knows something just based off of not only just the size, but his demeanor with the size, the energy he brings. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, it's going to be a problem. Like, but you got to have a plan. Like I was saying earlier, like every person you meet, you got to have a plan to kill everybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it comes down to. But that's also what Alia Gracie used to say, like, you always have to train as if your opponent is bigger than you. Mm-hmm. It's easy to train with somebody your size or smaller, but if they bigger than you, that's the true test of jiu-jitsu. And that's where jiu-jitsu truly makes everybody equal. Right. You know what I'm saying? Is that aspect. But once again, the reason why you should train as if your opponents are bigger than you was because it was made for self-defense.
Yep. And
you know what I'm saying?
And one thing I want to put out there, it's something about like, you training, you putting all this time, you learning this martial art, and you start like once you get to that point where we're talking about where you're applying it to like everyday situations, it's not to say that you to be paranoid. It's a sense of calmness you get when you are in these situations that you can take care of. Because honestly, for me, I have real bad social anxiety, and when I was working at the club with you, if I wasn't training jiu-jitsu prior to that, I would have never done it. Like, I would have never thought about me working as a bouncer at a club. Like, at all. But with my, with my training and everything else, it made me comfortable. I was like, okay, well, I know where, what I need to do, what I need to pay attention to, to be alert and be attentive of everything. I was all right.
Oh, you did more. You were more than all right, bro. You was nice. You was nice. You even got a little piece of action. You was nice.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
You even him the dude up, hit him with a quick little toss and got him up out of there. I was like, look at my boy. I was like, go ahead, man. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I would I'm telling you, I would have never in my wildest dreams, I'd have been like, I am a bouncer at a club. But like I said, prior training made me prepare for that.
And having that too, like, so that's what opened up doors also too, because having that experience of like having the martial arts background, mm-hmm. So then like it started opening up. So that's how it opened up for me to get in like executive protection, because like I said, they knew I could talk. They knew that I could handle myself well. I was very approachable. Everybody loved me. And I thought like management. I thought like, I thought for the business. Mm-hmm. So it always moved me. I get moved up to a manager or a managerial position quick. And so, but then like when like you get important people coming in, you got VIPs, you got celebrities, you got rappers, athletes, politicians, things like that. Then it's like, okay, cool. Well, these are people who could be the point, or they have fans, they have a following of good and bad. You know what I'm saying? So right. If somebody is playing an attack, or they're like, hey, you know what? I know this person about to be at this spot. I'm about to run up and try something. Then it's like, okay, well, who do we have who could defend that? Who do we have? Not only can we defend that, but who do we have who can see it? Because it's all about security. Is not being a cop, being a firefighter, an EMT. Those are all, they're responders.
Yeah.
So when they respond to something, a cop is, of course, they ride around, things like that, but they're usually just chilling until they get a call to respond to something happening. Firehouse, you stay at a firehouse for however long until you get a call that a fire is happening.
Right.
EMS, same thing. But security, you got to see that shit first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got to watch, especially in nightlife, you got to watch what's going on and be able to like, okay, cool, let me prevent this from happening. So the same thing is needed in executive protection. It's like, you got to be able to see the problem before it comes, because you can't let it get to your principal. I can't let it get to the person I'm protecting. So, and if it does happen, if somebody does run up and tries to attack, who do we have that can combat that can stop that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And then they go and look at the list of people, and they look at my name, and they're like, oh yeah, my man's been doing MMA and jiu-jitsu for 10 years.
Right.
Hey, real quick. And you know what I'm saying? And then you get moved and put in certain positions because you have that in your repertoire. So, it just, and that just worked hand in hand. Right. So then I definitely felt even more like a superhero. I'm like, well, shit, damn, I feel like Kato from Green Hornet. I'm the muscle. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely helped with a lot. But and that's the thing. A lot of people don't have that. You'd be surprised. Yeah. A lot of people in security, they just, they go and grab somebody like, oh, okay, he big. He can fill out a T-shirt. All right, bet, let's get him in. You know what I'm saying? They don't have those skills, right. But that's also too where you could get legal trouble comes in. Me doing jujitsu, I don't have to. My option is not. I don't have to throw a punch. Right. I got more options and more things to do to control you and to get you out. You know what I'm saying? I have that background.
Right. Because to me, it takes more than just like being a big dude with muscles to be a bouncer. I guess they're just trying to go for like the intimidation aspect of it. But, I just feel like if you don't have that type of proper training, what are you good for? Like, what could you possibly be good for in that situation where you do security? Like, yeah, you may be in the business for so long, but how are you actually able to address multiple situations at once?
I mean, you can and you do. Mm-hmm. It's just more so it becomes more violent at that point. Right. Because now you're relying on just pure utter violence. And I've worked with people, and it's crazy because I've worked with people who are like that. Mm-hmm. I work with people who they look for it. Like I've had guys work for me and they be like, man, I hope somebody pop off tonight. And I'm like, you know what? Wow. I hope you make it. Honestly, because man, it's the same thing that we hear, like the thing about cops, like cops who like, guys who got bullied and picked on and then they grow up to be a cop and then they pick on and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like it's the same thing. Like there are guys who do that in the security world who will literally, they like, okay, cool. I could go ahead and fight. And it'd be okay because it's a part of my job. No, that's not your job. Your job is to intervene. It's your crisis prevention intervention. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to prevent something from happening. And if it does happen, you have to be able to take control of the issue the best way possible. Like people don't know about use of force continuum. Mm-hmm. Like the same thing with cops. Like you show up, your presence, your verbalization. What you need them to do, your commands, and then you go into like soft skills. Okay, cool. I told you what happened was gotta go. Now I'm trying to usher you out. I'm putting a hand on your arm, on your back, and trying to move you to like, we gotta go. And then I match your energy. Mm-hmm. That's the legal aspect of it because a cop will ask you that. I've been in numerous fights where cops have been like, hey, were any punches thrown? Nope, no punches were thrown. You know what I'm saying? So like it's things that people don't understand and don't know, but like having that background, jiu-jitsu especially, it's the one thing, the downfall of our martial art is like I wish we did focus more on, there was like built into it, like just knowing how to throw a decent jab and old school shit they used to. Like if you watch UFC 1 through 5 on Hoist, his that kick. That kick he would do, he would throw it to create that distance. And then be able to shoot it for a takedown. Mm-hmm. They don't even do that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at least he had that going for him. His strikes weren't really all that, but like he's like, okay, I'm gonna throw this kick and I'm gonna use this kick to get in and close the distance and keep you away and secure a takedown. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's we don't have that. But that's also the benefit is because now we're not training punches, kicks, and elbows. Mm-hmm. We're training how to engage. We're training, the clinch. We're working the bag takes. We're working takedown, sweeps, trips, things like that. Going back to the judo aspect because jiu-jitsu came from judo. So when you put those two together, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to punch nobody. Right. You just need to defend the punches. You defend the punches, and you go ahead and engage, and then you set up your takedown. And then that's it. And then once you get them to the ground, the fight is over. Yep. There is no fight at that point. You know what I'm saying? It's the most humane way to deal with a person, whether drunk, whether angry. And like I said, you get to cover your own ass legally. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I've worked with guys who are all about just scrapping. Like, fuck it, let's go. And it's just like, man, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you causing more of a liability. Right. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing too, is like, and people and my employers like that I can handle a situation. I can defend myself and other people, protect others, and they don't have to worry about, hey, your bouncer, split this dude's eye, or your bouncer broke another nose this week, stuff like that, because then you're going to get the possibility of getting sued.
Yeah. And
if it comes down to somebody's business or you, they're going to throw you under the bus.
Right. And it's funny, you mentioned that because the one time, the same incident we kind of talked about earlier, guy was getting irate, had to break him up from somebody else. And, eventually later on down the line, he got dragged out of the club. Nobody got hurt. Everybody went home. And one particular guy, we're not going to mention his name, but he's like, yeah, man, I would have knocked his ass. I'm like, why? Like, why put yourself in a situation that you could control, but why would you add fuel to the fire? Because, just say, for example, you got into a tussle with this guy. You don't know that if he's with someone else. You don't know if he's carrying anything. Dude, let's just de-escalate this problem the best way we can, and everybody can go home happy.
And I've been in those situations to where, and that, once again, and that pulls and that ties into the unexpected, them variables that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I've had situations like that, where numerous situations where it was me and one person, and I can recall this one time I was working in Royal Oak, and the way the club was set up, it looked like something out of a Miami movie. It was great. Every night was a movie, and so I'm talking to this dude, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at him. And I'm seeing everything like kind of past him. It's almost like QB vision on Madden. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there looking at him, but I'm also like scanning. So I'm looking at him, and he getting heated. And I'm like trying to keep him calm, but I'm also like looking at him, but looking behind him, seeing like who else is seeing this. I'm looking for my team because I can't just signal to them like, hey, come through. I can't just do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's the eye contact. And people say like you talk a lot with your eyes. I'm like, yes, I have to. Because I gotta get somebody's attention, let them know like, hey, you need to come here or yo, it's about to pop off.
Right.
And so I'm looking at my team to see where they're at. And I'm making eye contact with a couple of them. They see me, they nod their head. But then I see people who are looking at him and looking at me, and now their postures are changing. Mm-hmm. Their demeanors are changing. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden I see people moving in, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
So, and then too, it's just like if something happens to where I just haul off and maybe crack this dude in the jaw, you know what I'm saying, or catch him with a quick elbow, seeing the severity of that will fuck somebody up and turn them, and they'll see red instantly.
Right.
Now, if I go ahead and I grab him, I wrap him up, wrist lock him, and he's like, he can talk, and I'm like, yo. Use it as negotiation. Like, hey, he gotta go. But if you come near me and do this, I'm gonna break his shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now he can communicate. It's almost like when you watch it in the movies. Mm-hmm. When a dude comes up and goes, he's like, hey man, yo, I just need y'all to chill. I'm gonna chill if y'all chill, but I don't like how this is going.
Right.
I'm gonna leave out of here. I'm gonna let him go, but I'm getting up out of here. I'm not about to, you know what I'm saying? I've had multiple situations like that to where I had to hem a dude up. And I had to there was one time I had to use a guy as almost a body shield. It was a body shield. And it's on my Instagram. And I walked through it about how it was turned into a big ass bar brawl. And I went and got the guy's back. And he was a bigger dude. He's about 6'5", 6'6". And I went and I just dropped my knee in the back of his knee. He dipped. I caught him in the seatbelt grip. And now we're walking backwards. I'm trying to get him out. But I end up hitting the back of the bar. And I see his boys look at it, and now they coming at me, and I'm like, oh, shit. So I had to switch from the seatbelt grip to a modified short choke.
Yep.
So now they looking at me, and I'm like, yo. Like, hey, I need 3 feet. I need 3 feet. And he's like, nah, I'm like, he's like, and they see it, and they're like, yo, okay. Because now they like, oh, shit, my homeboy. But if I would have just dropped this dude, and now I don't have no nothing to negotiate with, if I'd have just punched him in the face or, did whatever and dropped him, now they gonna rush me.
Yeah.
Now they see that their man's is, what I'm saying, that his man's is in the situation. And they're like, oh, yo, this dude knows something.
And who's to say that punch will knock him out?
It may kill him. It could be worse. It could be worse. It may not have effect.
Yeah.
You're right. It may not have an effect, or I could do more damage. I punch him, he falls, hits his head on the bar, then on the ground.
Now you in trouble.
In deep trouble. You in deep doo-doo.
Deep doo-doo.
And not just knee deep shoes. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's just, how you gonna get out of that? Because the thing is too, what people don't understand, and this is where training using your jujitsu. Tom the Blast once said, all of life is not about jujitsu, but you have to figure out how to translate jujitsu into every aspect of your life.
Man, true words never spoken.
You see what I'm saying? So now taking that training, this is where it really comes into play, and it's really important about that. So taking the training, if I'm training jujitsu for my job, and that's with anything. You train jujitsu, so like if you're a sport grappler, you're going to train everything and put it in the situation of what you'll run into, what situations you'll have for sport. If you do MMA, you will take your jujitsu and add striking and add wrestling and things like that, to where now it's like, okay, I'm using my jujitsu for MMA. I'm using my jujitsu in its truest form, self-defense, vale tudo, street fights. So now when you train those things, because when you get into an altercation, because you got to talk to the police, because if somebody's going to say something to the cops, but at the end of the day, too, the cops have to respond. They're responders.
Right.
So now they come to the scene like, who was involved, and they're going to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Now you got to go back in your head and say what exactly you did. And if you hit a motherfucker, you got to tell somebody, well, how many times did you punch him?
Right.
If you hit somebody 17 times and I hit him a couple times. Oh, well, we looked at the footage and we see 26.
You were teeing off, sir.
Hey, yo, you stood over this man and mollywopped this nigga 26 times. Now I don't know where you get a couple from, but you know what I'm saying? So now you have to do that step by step. So when you do it, when you take jujitsu and train it for, your arena, your specific arena you stepping into, now it's like, okay, cool, I already know what I did.
Right.
I went ahead, I came and talked to him, my hands were up, just, hey, in a peaceful position, my hands are up. He swings, I block, I duck under, I take his back, seatbelt, grip him up, and we're going out. And right then and there, so okay, cool. No punches were thrown. He can articulate exactly what he did every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And it makes, because in those situations, like, and to the listeners out there, don't get it wrong. There is anxiety.
Oh yeah.
There is stress.
Oh yeah.
That comes with it. So yeah, we're talking about it all smooth and fine right now, but at the end of the day, that's not how it always plays out.
No.
At all. Like, it's still there. But being able, when you train it to the way that you do, to the degree of muscle memory, there's really nothing you already know what you did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it comes in handy when you have to sit there and defend your actions, because that's one thing people don't think about. Yep. And I got younger guys who just started bouncing, and I got to remind them like, hey, how you going to defend that? Mm-hmm. And they already, once I say that, like I see them chirping with some people we done threw out, and I say, hey, how you going to defend that? They already know. I'm talking about, okay, if you go ahead and do what you about to do, you go ahead and you give into that energy, how you going to defend it with a cop coming and ask you what's going on? Because look where we at. We in the birds. Yeah. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You this big black dude, you just hauled off and just started doing X, Y, Z. How you going to defend that?
Right.
And instantly, once they hear it, it's like, fuck, I can't defend that. I'm like, okay. And then your defense attorney can't defend you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is so true, man. So true. But yeah, like you said, like we talk like, yeah, like we can just do this in our sleep. But no, yeah, everything is situational. Like, yeah, we can identify a problem, but we might be like, okay, yeah, if I go this way, I go that way, this will happen. It might not necessarily work that way. The same thing that we tell, our, lower belts when we're rolling, especially with white belts, and they're like, man, what'd you catch me in? Good, I'll show you. We started here. You did this. I did this. You got choked. And they'd be like, man, I would never saw it. Yeah, because you were going too fast. like you were moving too fast. Your mind was going too fast. But you have that person that can control the situation, yeah, like you said, and be able to break down and explain everything that will happen.
And it's also too, going back to the whole what you were saying about with the with the lower belts, like, how did you give me this? It's, you're always gonna catch somebody their mistake. You capitalize on someone's mistake.
Yeah.
The first person to fuck up and break a rule and make a mistake and you capitalize on it, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's chess. Definitely. The minute you make the wrong move, oh, okay, I see the opening.
Yep.
You made the wrong move. You did this. Now I'm ahead of you.
Yep.
Now I can guide you and lead you. Now I'm going to do what I want to do because you made the mistake. A lot of times we'll bait you into making a mistake.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So if somebody makes a mistake and they throw a punch and they don't time it right, or they just, once again, not having a training, they just throwing. Okay, cool. You threw it. Wide range. I seen it coming. I'm going to slip, go around the back. Now we going out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so and that's what it is. Now, yeah, exactly. now we two-stepping.
Yeah.
Now we try sliding real quick to the back.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, but yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add, if you wanted to ask me if there's anything that you're working on, you wanted to let the world know, you still got the floor, man.
I got not yet. I got some things I'm working on with some grappling based weapon retention and weapon disarming. That's coming soon. I plan on hopefully being back on this podcast again to talk more about that and go in depth with that, because this is great. This is I love this. This is I feel like, and that's the thing too, like jiu-jitsu in real life application needs to be talked about more, because that's where we come from.
Yeah.
Like it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of people don't know, if for those listening out there, Rickson Gracie's autobiography, Breathe, get it.
Man.
Get it.
Such a phenomenal book. Book.
Get Carlos Gracie's autobiography, Father of the Fight Dynasty. That's amazing as well. Like those, and they go together. But Rickson talks about, in one of the chapters about the essence of jiu-jitsu being watered down because there was a split. And this is where he left jiu-jitsu for what it was, and he went and focused on MMA and Vale Tudo, was because sport became more popular. Sport started really, really hitting in the 70s, where they started doing tournaments and things like that. And Alio was not a fan of that. The creator of jiu-jitsu was like, "Hey, what are you doing with my shit? That's not what I want." Right. So when people think when they think that, and I'm not saying sport jiu-jitsu can't work in a street fight, because it can. But the problem is, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan.
You get punched in the face.
When you get punched in the face, two things happen. So you have your jiu-jitsu it's two options, two ways it can go. It can expand or it can contract.
Yep.
And when I say that is that if you use strikes to expand your jiu-jitsu, it'll be a whole nother world opens up to you.
Yeah.
So like when you get punched, you're like, oh shit, well, okay, you focused on punching me, but you're not focused on trying to submit me, pass. If we didn't hit the floor and you're in my guard, you're not trying to pass my guard, you're just striking. Now I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. Now I can set stuff up. Now I can, and it goes from there. Now I can use my lines of defense. Oh, let me bring my knee up to block this, trap that. Now you can start playing and your game expands. Or it can contract, or you get hit in the face and you're like, holy shit, this motherfucker hit hard. And now you sitting there, you thinking about it, like, oh shit, I don't want him to hit me again.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I don't want that. So now what do? Now you covered up. Now your guard is collapsed. You don't even have a guard no more. You're tucked in a fetus position and you getting wailed on trying to protect yourself.
Trying to find your happy place, hoping that the madness ends.
Exactly. Exactly. And now but then you know what I'm saying? So that's where it's like, but even too, like I tell people all the time, like, why don't you strike? I remember I had a coach who used to tell us, don't strike from the guard.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, don't strike from there's no need to throw punches when someone's in your guard. Like, you stupid. Like, with all no disrespect, but I was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, because when you strike somebody and they're in your guard, it opens up, because if someone's focused on striking you, now you're not gonna knock somebody out if they're in your guard and you striking, but like you catch somebody with an elbow, you catch them with a punch, it opens it up now, because now they're turning defensive. Yeah. Because they can't just keep eating these shots.
Right.
Now they gotta defend these shots. Now your game can open up. You can work an escape, you can work a sweep, you can work a submission if you start throwing those strikes. Look at Anderson Silva when he fought Patrick Cote. Mm-hmm. He used strikes from the guard to open up his game, and he was able to submit my man's from the bottom triangle.
Yep.
With elbows, and you know what I'm saying? So now it's like it works that way. You have to learn striking. Some element. Now I'm not saying you got to go out there and be, you know, a Golden Gloves boxing champ or, you know, a world champion Muay Thai fighter, but just like if you had to grade it A to E, just be a C level striker.
Mm-hmm.
If you just a regular person, DC level striker. That's it. That's all you got to do. Get to DC level. So in jiu-jitsu terms, get to blue belt. Get to blue belt in boxing. Get the blue belt in Muay Thai. Something like that, to where your skills equate to a blue belt. You'll be able to defend yourself against the average person.
Yep.
Now, if you're doing MMA, or if you like me, you're bouncing, your strike level, whether the understanding, the defense or offense, all that needs to be purple belt or higher.
Yeah. At
that point. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, because you need to understand. And then too, here's the thing. Here's what's crazy. Most people don't know. When you start to study strikes and you work angles and slips and you know what I'm saying? Then it puts you in position to do what? Take somebody down. It puts you in position, cut an angle to shoot a takedown, to get the bag. Like once you start moving it and incorporate, it's like, oh shit, by learning this, I just made my game that much more better. So even if I don't want to strike nobody, I can still cut the angles, weave, bob, slip into where I can get close to you and do a takedown.
Yep.
So, you know, just you know, get me started on a whole other topic. That need to be another topic we talk about.
But no, we'll definitely have you back on here, bro, because I know we can go hours. But
that's what I'm saying. We're sitting here at the Joe Rogan style podcast. This would be 3 hours of shit. We be pulling up clips like, hey, pull this up. Remember this. But no, man. My question for you: when you doing this again, and how can my fan base and following? How can we hear more of the Talk Your Jits podcast?
Yeah, so I'm doing a bulk of recordings. So I got 3 more that I need to do, and then probably by the end of the week I'll start releasing the episodes. So it'll be soon. Definitely be soon to get this out in the masses. And I got people. I'm almost booked up to the beginning of January with interviews. So it's gonna be a lot of episodes. Definitely gonna have people come back because you know, an hour is just not long enough for some people. And once we get more established, I'll do longer episodes. But yeah, man, it's gonna be out there very, very soon.
Where will it be on? Like, will you have like Spotify? Will you put on your Instagram page?
I'm flooding it. It's going to be on the Talk Your Jits podcast page on Instagram and Facebook. It's going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on SoundCloud. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on everything. Everything I can get it on is going to be on there. So no one has an excuse to not to listen to this podcast.
There you have it, ladies and gents. I just want to also say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything, your weight loss journey, your jiu-jitsu journey, you continuing to do the things that you love and make you happy. I'm super, 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 super proud of you. And it just literally warms my heart whenever I see you set a goal and then you knock it the fuck down. It always makes me just, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember when you came into GNC, man, and you just, you know, you grinned at me a little bit. You came into GNC and you looked at me real nasty. And I was like, damn, dog, I ain't do nothing to you, kid. What's with the love, baby? Come on now. Like, damn, look at us now. Like, look at this almost 10 years later. Look at this.
All right. So at this point, like, this is the guy I was referring to in the very first episode about at GNC. But I did say.
I gotta go back and listen now because you ain't okay. I gotta go back and listen.
I didn't mention that. I was gonna wait to this episode to mention it. But so this guy, when he was working at GNC, this is the guy I said that was in the first episode. When I tell you, like, the first time I met this guy, he came off as a douchebag. Like, I was like, he just so full of himself. I was like, man, I don't like him.
But I wasn't.
I know.
I didn't do nothing that said that.
Because
Tell the people why you thought I was a douche.
Because when I came in there, I asked him one simple question about, I forgot what it was, a vitamin for something. And he was just like, yeah, it's over there. And I was like, huh. All right, then. He didn't want to help me because I was asking him questions. He was kind of giving me short answers. I was like, all All right, then. It's a guy who hates his job. I'm going to leave him alone. But look what happened.
That wasn't it. No, Lamar said he ain't like, nah, see, I knew you would go. I knew because, he talking his jits. He want to go. So now let me tell y'all real quick. Lamar said, so, okay, I'm like, all right, maybe he called me on an off day. Maybe he did, but I try to match the customer's energy. If I talk to a customer and I see that they don't want to be, or if I tell them, hey, they're like, hey, how's it going? I'm looking for such and such. Oh, cool. It's right over here, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to see, I'll say certain things to see like, okay, no, this person don't want my help. And this is the type of customer that if they'll ask, I'll come over and ask whatever they need. But I'm going to be like, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson. I don't want to be a used car salesman. I want to give them their space to do whatever. He seemed like the type who just kind of wanted to. I was like, all right. So he came in, asked for, I was like, oh, it's over there. And I'm gonna let him hang back. I was also going through a tumultuous relationship at the time, so I was probably stressed the hell out. So I apologize. But that ain't the reason why he thought I was a douche. The reason why Lamar thought I was a douche was because he said you was sitting in there with your tight t-shirt, your muscles, your mohawk, and I'm like, wow, you just wait a minute, hold on, man. It had nothing to do with nothing. And he left that part out coincidentally. He body shamed me is what he did. He looked at me and just instantly was like, mohawk, muscles, tight t-shirt. I don't like this nigga. I don't like him at all.
He fit the GNC checklist on like employees, man. Like, but no.
And I had chicken, rice, and broccoli for lunch that day too. Basic Instagram model fucking diet. You goddamn right.
Oh, but man, but I did mention he became one of my best friends, man. I love this guy. So, but yeah, it was definitely an honor and privilege to have you on the show, man.
Look, man, I'm like I said, I remember when you was talking about it, and everything we've ever talked about, our hopes, goals, dreams, ambitions, everything related to jiu-jitsu. And like I said, man, you just keep setting it up and knocking it down. Every time you talk about doing something new, and I'm like, it's not much longer of a wait. You like, hey, I want to do this. I'm thinking about this. And then next thing you know, within either a couple of days or a couple of weeks, you already doing it. So this man's talented. He's now, talented podcaster. He's a very, very talented artist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've got, how your friends are good. Like, I got friends who do shit, but like, I support it, but it's to a certain extent. I have a painting Lamar did sitting in my living room. It is a talking piece when people come over to my house. Like, oh, who did that? My brother did that. Like, so like, you know what I'm saying? And that's support. And now when he asked me to be on this, I said, ain't no way in hell I'm not going to. I'll clear whatever the fuck I got to do to make sure I'm on this. So like I said, man, I'm happy to bear witness to your evolution. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to seeing all the things you do in your jiu-jitsu journey from here on out.
Man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. But yeah. That's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank, Mr. Adam Hunter again for coming on the show. I really hope you enjoyed the tale of some of our experiences. Please go and follow the Facebook and Instagram page to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been the Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.